Hey, this is Basketball Talk 77, and today's video is my finals predictions. Now, I am one game late, and game one has already happened. However, the series could still go either way. The Suns did win by a lot, but the stars of the Bucks did not play very well. And it was Giannis' first game back after what looked like reversing his knee. I could still not get over the fact that after all that, Giannis was able to walk out of the arena with no help from anyone else. That's pretty crazy to me. My next video will most likely be either a video talking about the draft lottery and what team should pick, or a video on the awards, or anything else depending on if people want it. But anyway, that'll be coming in a week or two, and we can focus on this finals predictions for now. So, obviously, the Suns are probably the favorite, and I'm going to choose the Suns in 6. The reason for this is Chris Paul. Chris Paul is not going to let the Suns lose. With many good playoff teams, there is a player on the team, usually the superstar, the best player on the team, which I think is Chris Paul for the Suns, not Devin Booker, where they have a shot that they can go to, the shot that they can always make, that they know they can make. Every time, no matter what. It's their go-to shot, like right on screen with Chris Paul's mid-range. Even last year in OKC, with a team that was far more terrible than the Rockets, the Thunder pushed the Rockets to 7, and it was because Chris Paul was there, and he had clutch performance after clutch performance, including a Game 6, where he essentially won the game with a mid-range jumper off an ISO play, and that was to extend the series because that was a possible elimination game. And I don't even think the Thunder would have won more than a game in that series if it wasn't for Chris Paul. Devin Booker is again another amazing mid-range shooter that has that kind of spot. Even Devin Booker as a second option or as a second best player on a team has this shot that they almost never miss, and especially won't miss if it's for the game. And the Bucks don't really have a player who has that kind of shot that they can go to if all else fails. Jrue Holiday is close, but we've seen him have inconsistent performances in the playoffs where he hasn't had good games and unclutch performances, which is one of the reasons why the Bucks have had lots of hard times getting through the playoffs. Had a few scares with the Hawks, and an easy first series with the Heat, but a very hard second series with the Nets in the second round. And a lot of that was the fact that Kevin Durant, like Chris Paul, could go to that mid-range shot and he knew he could make it, while no one on the Bucks could do that for them. And it's not Jrue Holiday, who actually who had a few bad games when he was in that Nets series. So Chris Paul has that kind of shot, and the Bucks don't really have a player who has that kind of shot that can help them in those situations. Even besides that, even if he doesn't score a lot, there's another thing that's going to hurt the Bucks, which is guarding Devin Booker. Devin Booker, there's really no one I think who can guard him. Jrue Holiday is a little too short, so Devin Booker will be able to shoot over him, and Chris Middleton is a little bit too tall. Now, I don't think he had that good of a game in the first game. However, I think that eventually he's going to start having good games when there's no one that's really perfectly fit to guard him. He's probably going to be X factor. However, DeAndre Ayton has been another major force. He was amazing in Game 1 and did, I think, a pretty good job of guarding Giannis, although it later switched on to more like Jay Crowder because Brook Lopez came in. But DeAndre Ayton is doing exactly what he needs to do, and the pick and roll between Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton so far looks to be pretty much unbeatable. There's also injuries to players like Dante DiVincenzo on the Bucks, and a little bit of lack of depth because of that. Now the Bucks still have a great chance because, again, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was guarded by Jay Crowder, and Giannis really wasn't able to have an amazing game because he just came back from an injury, and I think later he will have better games. And I don't think he shot that poorly, and he also did an amazing job getting rebounds. He had near 20 rebounds, I think. And eventually these other players will light up, which means that although this first game looked like a complete blowout, later games are probably going to be more close, and I think the Bucks will win some. The problem is, of course, Devin Booker being good and the Chris Paul pick and roll and his clutch scoring. So even though there will be possibly many close games, in the end, it's going to be Chris Paul who's going to be able to win the game in the clutch. Remember, it's not like the Bucks and Suns have had unclose games in the past. In the 2 times that they faced each other, one of them, the highlights are playing right now, in both games the Bucks and Suns faced each other in the regular season, it was extremely close. And both times the Suns won by 1 point. What that shows us is that although the Suns don't have a huge amount more talent than the Bucks, that in the end their clutch scoring is superior to the point where both games were close, so the teams are even talent. However, both games were won. And so that tells me that even if there are many close games, which I think there will because there's not really a perfect person to guard Giannis, there never really is, but there isn't a Joel Embiid or a Bam Adebayo. Even if there's not a perfect person to guard Giannis, and even if all the stars of the Bucks didn't really play that well, and if they play better, they'll win. When it comes to who's going to be the most clutch, who's going to take the final shot in a game, and who's going to be able to win the game for either team, it's going to be Chris Paul. And Chris Paul has a lot more desperation here. Remember, he's 36. He may not be good anymore. This may be his last contract before he retires. So, is there a lot less reason for that competitive fire? I mean, I've always thought that the Bucks had never had that competitive fire, but all their stars still have many good years left. Chris Paul does not. And so, not only have the Bucks never had the competitive fire that other teams in the playoffs have had, in my opinion, their stars don't have as much desperation like Chris Paul does, where this is probably his last year, or one of his last years to win a championship. And so, that is why I think that the Suns will win. So, that's my prediction. Suns in 6. And now, I'll tell you about the new things that I am planning for this channel and for my basketball thoughts. Number 1, thank you for 30 subscribers. I'm really happy we were able to get to this benchmark. We've had some great videos in the past, and we've done a lot of good predictions. So far, I've had just as good predictions as last year, and usually we've got a pretty accurate prediction system. And I think we'll continue to have that in the future as well. But it's been definitely a long time since we started this channel, about a little bit over a year, and I say I improved a lot in terms of how I make my videos. And I was beginning making PowerPoint slideshows and just going through them, which obviously wasn't as effective, and now I do iMovie. And I know that there are probably many better ways to do these things, but I still haven't discovered it yet. So for now, it's at least far more advanced than it was before this. I'm very happy that I have gotten a group of people who are willing to tune into whenever I make a video and listen to what I have to say about the game of basketball in the NBA. And that's great. Now, we're going to be expanding in this next year. I'm hoping to gain subscriber count and get a larger viewing base. My goal is to try to post more commonly and to find how common my subscribers will want me to post and my viewers will want me to post. And for my video quality also go up, which will take a lot more work, but I'm willing to do it if it means that we'll be able to grow our base and have higher quality videos, so it's more fun to listen to my basketball predictions. And I'm also going to be starting a podcast, which I will tell you the name of in my next video. In that podcast, I will be telling things like just recaps of the last game, and also, or when the season restarts, recaps of games, and in the off season, if there's ever an important trade, I can review that as well. And so if you are on Spotify, then you can tune into that if you want to see my just in general recaps, especially if you don't have time to listen to a whole video where I show graphics and stuff. But yeah, I'll also be creating a few other channels that may not be basketball related, so if you're interested in just hearing my opinions on other things, then I may tell you about those things in the future as well, whether it be in the comment section or in a video. And that's all I have to say for now. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel to get more content like this. Thank you for being a viewer throughout my channel's history, and I hope you continue to do so. So like, subscribe, and see you next time.